What's up, board fam? Eric here, and in today's video, we're going to be watching a clip from Geeks and Gamers, but it's mostly Ryan Kennel. It's not on his channel, it's on the Geeks and Gamers channel. And the title is The Double Standard is Real, Children of Blood and Bone Trailer Hypocrisy. I don't really think the double standard statement applies here, depending on what they're talking about, but I can't imagine there's something comparable to this movie in terms of a complaint they would have about the racial diversity of a cast. But let's see where they go with it.
All black Children of Blood and Bone cast called out on X for diversity double standard after the Odyssey backlash. Cynthia Erivo's in this. Idris Elba's in this. Our favorite girl, Amanda Stenberg from The Acolyte, is in this.
Wow.
So this was a project that Lucasfilm originally had announced that they were going to be doing like years and years ago, and that never came to fruition. And I think Paramount or somebody bought the rights to it.
Paramount. It is Paramount. Paramount is the one putting this out. Ellison Trump MAGA company right now, according to you guys, but then they're making this. So that would be a tough sell to your audience.
I don't remember, but it's happening. But apparently there's a lot of controversy. Like the author of the book that this story is based on has like publicly gone out on social media and said, I'm not connected to this. This is like has nothing to do with me. And I don't want anyone connecting me to this project. And actually blocked Amanda Stenberg on Instagram for some reason.
Right.
I don't know the full details behind that. I get it. Amanda Stenberg does seem like a really annoying bitch, but I
well, then, like, if you don't know the details, how do you know it has anything to do with something Amanda did? Being a bitch or whatever it is you conclude she is. You don't know anything about it. Like, getting in the middle of drama that you don't know anything about is weird. It's really weird. Honestly, you guys could have just looked it up before you did your video to make sure that you had the drama right before you did it. But the racism kicked in hard, and you just had to talk about this right now. And it's on the Geeks and Gamers website. I want to point out propaganda, human centipede shit, where they just write their own articles that they can then read on their streams. It's pretty pathetic.
I don't know what the drama that went down with them. I'm not
Well,
sure.
then why are you talking about it?
I never
people
heard
fighting
of this.
over black people shit. Surprise, surprise.
I never heard of this ever.
Black
what
people
the
shit.
heck would Lucasfilm be doing with a project like this? Like, how does this tie into anything that Lucasfilm does? Like,
it's a young adult novel from 2018. I'm trying to remember the author's name. Let me jump up here. I have it on this side here. Tommy Adeyemi, 2018. It's West African young adult fantasy novel. So I guess they just wanted to get into a new IP at one point and then change their mind, possibly because of some sort of creative issue with the author and what they wanted to do with it. But it's whatever. I mean, why would they not? It's what a dumb, like, because it's an all black project. Why would Lucas want to do this? You don't have any reason other than it's an all black cast. I mean, it's a young adult fantasy story. They do that kind of shit all the time.
Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Willow. Like, what does this even tie? It's crazy.
No, the three things you mentioned don't tie together. Willow, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, three completely different things. But I guess that this is not relevant because it's all black, I guess. I don't know why you would say it doesn't work with Lucasfilm.
They should be focusing on the IPs that they have in front of them that they destroyed and try to make them
Well, they didn't make it. That's why it's at Paramount. But continue.
better instead of something like this. But boy, you talk about like getting everybody in one film together and seeing how well it does.
So
I love the look at the camera, getting everybody. He wanted to say the word there. He wanted to say it, but then he didn't, and he stopped just short of saying it. But you could see it in his eyes. Real classy.
I believe the history was the rights for this had been bought by Disney somehow, some way, in like whether it was the Fox merger or whatever happened, and the rights got transferred to Lucasfilm, and it was supposed to be their first kind of like outside of Star Wars, outside of Indiana Jones, like movie that they were doing.
Right.
And that was back like 5 years ago. And
Now, I just want to take a side step here. If Disney and Lucas and all these companies were pushing woke ideologies like you guys claim they are, if they were doing that, this would be perfect. This would be a perfect project for them to work on. Because then you could say, well, look at them. They're pushing an all black, female led movie franchise, TV show, whatever they ended up doing with it. You could easily say that because it would fit within your stories, your fairy tales, that these companies are all pushing this kind of agenda driven stuff. You could easily do that. But by, having them walk away from it and not fight for it or whatever happened, it proves that they don't really care about those things hard enough to fight for something that could be used for the message or ideology.
And shockingly, something that got announced at Lucasfilm didn't end up happening. And so the rights ended up getting sold to Paramount or something. This was years ago. And finally, the movie's here. And I don't even know when it releases. I don't know if it's just going to be a streaming thing or if it's released in theaters. But there's been a lot of...
Why don't you look this stuff up? It's January of 2027. I opened up a tab and I wanted to make sure I had all the information there before I watched your video, thinking that you guys would know this shit. But having to correct you on something like a release date is crazy.
Drama surrounding it. And yeah, one of the things has been, hey, it's weird how you've got this black story and an all black cast, and yet no one's screaming that there needs to be more white people in it. No one's screaming that, oh, why blah, blah, blah. What about the fucking diversity standards for awards, blah, 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 because it's different.
Well, no, it's not different. It's because you can hit that criteria without casting people of different races. We keep telling you guys this, and I guess you're just stupid or ignorant or whatever it might be. One, they might not be chasing awards, right? They might not give a fuck about getting awards. But number two, like we were saying with the Odyssey, you can reach the measure, like you can get there behind the scenes with these films without ever casting a widely diverse cast. We told you this. When you guys were claiming Nolan was doing that for awards, we said to you, he doesn't have to, because you can already hit that metric behind the scenes. So one, you'd have to assume, I guess, that these guys were trying to get into awards, which we don't know for sure. And two, you'd have to look at the production, the cast of the people that made the movie to see if they hit that criteria in the production side of it. Like, you'd have to check, but you'd first have to prove that they were trying to get awards for it to even matter. Some of these people that make these movies don't care about awards.
That's only about white shit. Let's get it real. It's only about...
Well, we've already discussed that the Greek stuff is not white shit. It is Greek shit. You even said this in one of your recent videos. You acknowledge that. Even though the Greek people don't have a problem with it, you're offended on behalf of them and their whiteness, I guess.
White things. It's about European stories. It's about white stories. That's the only time when diversity matters to these fucking freaks. That's the only time where you have to replace people, whether it's a story like the Odyssey where you need blacks and Indians and Asians and shit like that running around in it.
Black people, not blacks. Like, that's such a fucking awful way to refer to somebody. Whites. Like nobody says whites. They say white people. Call black people. So disgusting. Also, by the way, you're getting mad at this production of this movie like these were the people who were arguing with you about diversity in the Odyssey. Like, did anybody from this production, anybody in this cast here that we're talking about, are any of them responsible for you guys looking like idiots? For your predictions not being true? Are any of them responsible for that? Or are you just assigning blame to all black people or all women or whatever it is today that you're complaining about based on this? You're calling them freaks when literally it's just black people making a movie.
That's been one of the massive double standards when it comes to this story, and people are just pointing that out. I don't know.
That's not really a double standard, Ryan. It's not a double standard. One, the Christopher Nolan movie is an adaptation that Christopher Nolan chose to make the changes to that he did when it comes to the cast. That's what he did. He's a white guy. It wasn't like we had a black director who went in and made an all-black Odyssey, which, by the way, that would be Does that exist? That actually might be kind of cool. But we didn't have a black director going in and like replacing everybody with all black actors for you guys to cry about. It was literally 2 characters, and only one of them was prominent in the story. And even that was like 6 minutes of screen time, give or take. And you guys crashed out about it. Here's some really interesting information. White actors make up around 76% of all the major roles in Hollywood. 76%. Everybody else is in that other small percentage, even though that's not the percentage of in the world, but every other group is in that small percentage after that. Black lead actors or prominent actors make up about 11% of films. 11%. White people make up 75 to 76% of theatrical film leads or prominent characters. Apparently behind the camera, it's also a problem. 80% of directors, co-directors, writers, and co-writers are white. Actually, no, it's even more than that. 92% of writers and co-writers on top theatrical films are white. 80% of directors and co-directors are white. This is really interesting because this was a study done by UCS Annenberg back in 2024. Look at the entertainment industry, where white actors are roughly 3/4 of theatrical leads or major characters. White people make up 2/3 of all film roles. White directors are 80% of the industry. White writers are over 90% of the industry. So it's not a double standard. It's not even balanced or equal at this point. Like, if you don't believe me, look the studies up. They're out there. This is just crazy.
So what happened between the author and Amanda Stenberg? It's not like black on black crime is exactly rare, but I don't know exactly what.
Oh, I love the racism there.
Sure.
The funny thing is that crime in communities is predominantly done by people of the same racial background.
If you wrote an all black kind of fictional magic, fantastical universe and stuff like that, and that was created and that's a book, these are the types of things. If you're asking for more representation, if you're asking for more black stories involved, like make this thing, adapt this thing and put it out. It might not be for everybody, but this is perfectly fine. This is kind of what I want to see instead of the design.
Well, I'm glad we're appeasing the white person, right? Like, so black people can do things as long as those things are okay with Ryan. You are allowed as black people to make content as long as that content aligns with what Ryan believes is acceptable in terms of representation. In case you were aware, what Ryan cares about, like in terms of your life and what you do, he's approving of this.
Hired to do race swaps and fucking change other stories to make sure there's representation. I can promise you that there's not going to be a legitimate outcry of people that are like, where are the white people? Now, we might say that out of look at the hypocrisy of there being no white people in this movie.
There's no hypocrisy. You keep saying that, but it's just not the case. There's no hypocrisy here when it comes to this film and what they're doing with this film and what happened with the Odyssey. There is none. This film is based on a 2018 book about a West African group of people. These are all fictional characters in the story, and it's very clear who they are and what they're doing. The Odyssey is based on mythology from 3,000 years ago, where everybody wants to keep arguing that talking about the color of someone's skin means that they were definitely super white, even though we know that that's not the way it's intended when it's written in the poetry. We already know that. But you're still arguing about it. This is not the same thing. I don't know why you keep saying it's hypocrisy.
And blah blah, because it is a double standard, and
it is not a double standard.
But I don't.
It should not be like what do you want? So you don't want black people. Wait a minute, hold on. You said call it out. What does that mean? What do you mean call it out? You just gave them the white pass. You said the white guy pass is you're allowed to make these things, but we don't want you to race swap existing characters, even though the stories that we've seen over the years, even up till now, have an overrepresentation of white people. So you don't want to give roles to black people. You don't want black people to be race swapped into side characters, supporting characters in white stories, even though the Odyssey is not a white story, it's a Greek story. But you don't want them to do that. But then you also want them, when they're making movies, when the black community is making movies based on stories, recent ones like this, where clearly we understand who these characters are supposed to be, when that happens, you then want them to inject a white person into it to appease you. Even though you've admitted in the video you're not the target audience, this isn't for you, but because of the fact that white people have to be in everything, they have to be in every single thing. You have to have there's a double standard, there's hypocrisy by not injecting a white character into the story. That's just ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense, Ryan. It sounds racist as fuck, just to be clear. The sole reason things like this exist now is because of all of the anger and outcry about black people being included in anything classical prior to a certain point. Right? There's a huge imbalance in the amount of white media versus black media. There just is. It's been like that for years. And now we're seeing things like this. So look, we can give all these black actors an opportunity to work in something, because anytime they work in anything else, they get racist threats. They get called names. They get splashed on thumbnails. Helen of Detroit, which has nothing to do with Helen of Troy, right? It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with making fun of a black woman and saying she's from Detroit for laughs. Putting gold teeth in her mouth, things like that. That's all racist shit. So movies like this exist because of the fact that you guys cannot keep your mouth quiet for 5 seconds because a black character is in a story where the cast is 98% white. That's why this stuff exists.
I don't have any problem with them taking a black story and putting all black people in it, and we shouldn't have problems when the same thing happens with white people. I'm fine.
Except you're complaining about a director's decision in the Odyssey. There was no mandate for Christopher Nolan to make characters black for any reason. That's a fairy tale that you guys have created. You keep trying to compare these two things together. They're not the same thing.
With you making your own stories and making your thing. It might not succeed. I might not be the target audience for it, but it is.
Oh, shocker. Shocker.
100% agree. I couldn't have said it better. That's it. You take stories, you take what's in the story, you put it on the big screen. Everybody's happy. That's it. Instead of making characters gay or changing everything about them just to fit your narrative, yeah, just take the book that you're making the movie from and go, okay, this looks like this person's that, this person's this, and put it on the big screen. It's just pretty simple. I agree. And for those,
so the issue here, let me point out to these numbskulls why that isn't so easy. Why it's not so easy. A lot of characters that studios want to use or the stories they want to adapt are proven IPs that have made a lot of money for these places over the years. That leaves a very narrow window for original stories. Matter of fact, at the beginning of this video, you guys were questioning why Disney or Lucasfilm would even want this book. You guys remember that earlier? Why would they want this? Why would they want to do something like this? So you were questioning why they would even have this all black story connected to their studio. And that's the same type of mentality that you guys have about everything in this section of Hollywood. We're talking about diverse stories. So it doesn't matter if it's an all black cast. You're still going to make a video talking shit about it, making fun of it being a double standard and hypocrisy and all of these things. You're still going to do that. They're still going to be subjected to that, even when they make something like this. Even at the end of the video where you're like, oh, well, maybe they should do this. You titled the video, "The Double Standard is Real." So you've already started to outrage farm this movie that you claim is what you want it to be. You could have titled the video, "This is how we want to see representation. This is how diversity should be done." These are the things you could have done if you truly believed what you were saying. But you can't do that because you have an audience that requires you to be negative about every single thing you're talking about in one way or another. Even if you have a video where you're talking positively about something, in that video somewhere, you will compare it to something negative because you have to have that in your video. I've watched you guys in the comment section who defend these channels. I've watched videos after videos after videos from these guys. I know the kind of content they make. I understand what they're doing. It's very obvious to me. And anybody out there that's not locked in like a minion, it's very obvious to them. They want to control the kind of media that gay people, black people, women are included in because they're white guys and white guys get to make that decision. People like Ryan feel that way. That's why they make these types of videos. Newsflash, Ryan, you don't get to choose the kind of entertainment that black people make. You don't get to make choices for Christopher Nolan when he decides he wants to put a black person or a trans person or whatever in his movies. Gay people can be in anything. The idea that you think gay people are inserted into something or pushed into something is some form of ideology is simply homophobia. Every person that is alive belongs in stories. What those stories are come down to the people making the movies and making the TV shows. When you're making your own shit, you can make the decision on what you want to include and what you don't want to include. But you don't get to make those choices for other people. Other people who are creating things can make those decisions on their own and decide how they want to do it. The racist shit is just fucking apparent and obvious. It gets more and more obvious every single day.